Salute to the family. Salute to my comrades. And it's always smoke to the Co-Intel Pro boxing fans. It is Wednesday. No, hold on. It's Thursday. A beautiful day at that. Let's talk some boxing. Let's talk some boxing for a second. I'm going to give the family a few minutes to come on in, because there's a little conversation we need to have. Salute, Stormy B Man. This is the man I need in the chat right now. We have a debate going on between... Sometimes when you see people having an argument, you realize that there's two different conversations going on. So, Sensei, there's an argument going on right now all over social media about, has the sport evolved to the point where the skills of the current day fighters would give basically all the old fighters trouble because the sport has evolved. Now, I had this debate with the sports science guy a few months ago, and I told him, I said, listen, no matter how much you all think you've evolved, fighters are getting hurt more now between camps. Fighters are burning out before they even reach the 8th round. We're talking about our elite fighters. Fighters aren't even fighting 15 rounds anymore. Fighters have gloves that protect their hands more. And I'm trying to explain this, and then I start realizing, wait a minute. We're having two different arguments. The casual boxing fan is talking to me about basically the sports science of the sport evolving. I think there's a misconception on a sport evolving and a sport actually being more competitive. It's two big differences. So I put a poll on my channel and I said, which heavyweight period was tougher? Was it during Ali's era or Usyk's era? And there were people that got upset with me because I said that, hey, back then, the heavyweight division was a lot more competitive than it is now. People got upset about that. Sensei said, the sport has regressed, not evolved. Purses have increased, but the application and lack of dedication to efforts haven't earned the merits of reward. That's why I'm so happy that the Sensei is in here. Right and exact of what he's saying. Listen, family, listen. It's one thing for me to call Muhammad Ali the greatest of all time, but I'm not calling him that just because he's black and just because he was fighting for our people, representing our people. It's not just about that. What you all have to understand, you have to go back and really look at what Ali did. What fighter in history? Keep your head from above that water, okay? I'm not gonna say it again. What fighter in history was suspended for 3 years, comes back and does what Ali did? This is not about an undefeated record. This is not about if a person took losses or not. What I'm telling you all is the competitive nature of the sport is not as competitive as back then. So what it kills me when you all see a great fighter and say he's just as great as Ali. They tried the same crap with Lomachenko. And what happened? When Lomachenko increased his competition, what happened? That's right, not even the so-called great Iron Mike Tyson. So it disturbed me, number one, it disturbed me to hear Shannon Briggs go on a UK podcast and say that Prime Holyfield, Prime Holyfield, to my guy James, who came in and said, "Bro, what crap you talking about? Get a real job." Well, James, the great thing about it is I served this country long enough that I am retired. I know I don't look it. I look so young and blessed. I'm actually retired, so I get to sit up here and talk to you about the sweet science. But if you don't want to be here and listen to me, you can also take your hind parts and take your shit down the road. That's what you can do, James. Matter of fact, let me help you out. Let me get you up out of here, player, because I see my mods aren't in here yet. Let's get you up out of here. I'll see you the next time. So family, think about it. And I want to ask you your opinion. I need some of my mods to get in here because you all know these agents of chaos always like to come into the chat and deter our conversations. Always. But check it out, family. Let me ask you your opinion. Because me as a current boxing coach, salute Donald Caldwell. I have other boxing extraordinaires in the chat. Got the man Stormy B Man. This is where your tax money goes. American people like this can sit on a free phone line and live stream. I pay for everything I own, Simon Williamson, and I actually defended this country with my life. That's why I get to sit up here and be by the pool and talk, because I already paid a price for that. Let me go ahead and get you up out of here as well. If the trolls keep coming, I'm going to put it on subscribers only. But check it out, family. Who do you all think had a harder competitive heavyweight division? Do you think it was during the 2000s, currently, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s? Do you think that Usyk has had to fight with the kind of competition that Muhammad Ali has? Think about it. Think about it, family, and what's going on and what's being said. Think about what's going on and what's being said. See, you all have to be careful of the narrative you all try to play. Now, Gwen Cooper said the 90s. And I agree with Gwen. I believe that the heavyweight division in the 90s was way more competitive than the heavyweight division right now. Think about it, family. Think about it. Honestly, who can beat Usyk right now? Who is a 50-50 fight in the heavyweight division for Usyk right now as we speak? And I'll give you time, because I can't think of anybody. Now, sometimes someone in the chat will say, hey, this person, and I have to submit, okay, you got a point. But off the dome, I don't see any heavyweight right now that would be a 50-50 fight for Usyk. But like Gwen said, in the 90s, you had back-to-back 50-50 fights, heavyweight in the heavyweight division. The 70s, family, think about those heavyweights. Think about it. Think about Joe Frazier, George Foreman. It's so many. Sonny Liston. You got Muhammad Ali. These guys are at the top. But people want to argue about which generation had a better heavyweight division. Come on, family. We have to use our heads. Because if we start calling Usyk greater than Ali, and he hasn't had a few 50-50 fights yet, what are we talking about? The late, great Roger Mayweather once said, people don't know shit about boxing. And they don't. The thing about propaganda is if it's repeated enough, it becomes the truth to the public. So if Usyk has, let's say, 4 50-50 fights in the next 6 years, which I don't see that happening, but let's say it happens. and he beats all of those challenges, could we still put them in the same boat as those fighters back then? Family, we still probably can't, because you have to look at the history of the sport. In the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, these fighters were fighting against the mob. These fighters were fighting against the threat of being lynched after winning a bout. These fighters were fighting 15 rounds under the sun with horse leather gloves on. And for those of you who don't know what a horse leather glove is, you could maneuver the actual horsehair in the glove where all you feel is straight knuckle. This is what was going on. So I'm sorry, I have to call it like it is. Our fighters today were not built like those men back then. I'm sorry. This right here is not even about whether you were a black fighter or a white fighter or a Mexican fighter or Asian fighter or all that crap. Family, the men from 30 years ago were tougher fighters. They just were. Boxing imitates the art of life. Would you agree? Boxing imitates the art of life. So think about it. You can go down the street right now and see empty basketball courts, empty tennis courts, empty soccer fields. When I was a kid, during the summer like this, you didn't see that. I'm at a pool right now. The pool's empty. The pool's empty. Besides me and my family, the pool's empty. Kids don't work out the way they used to. So when it happens and the social norms of the community becomes lazy, you're going to see it in the sport of boxing. Now, people always get their foot put in their mouths. The sensei Stormy B-Man said Ali had 2 careers with the 3-year suspension and fought the best of both. Listen, family, listen. The sensei is teaching right now. If you don't know the history, Ali had 2 careers with the 3-year suspension and fought the best of the both. The teacher is teaching. Liston, Williams, Patterson, Terrell, Cooper. Then, this is after the 3-year suspension, he fights Frazier. He fights Foreman, Norton, Quarry, Lau, Shavers. You all are trying to compare. We have to stop doing this, y'all. We have to stop disrespecting the people who laid the foundation of the sport of boxing. Now watch this. Watch how I force them to eat their own crow. This is what they're saying, and they're getting pissed off about it because they feel personally attacked. That's why you should not idol worship any one fighter and just love the sport. If I say to a person, hey, Usyk is a great fighter, to come up from cruiserweight to heavyweight and do what he has done goes down in boxing history, but he cannot hang with the era of Ali, people feel personally attacked. They start attacking me personally, etc. Now listen, I served in the military. One of my jobs as an airborne infantryman, worked in the prison. There's nothing you can say on social media that's going to hurt my feelings. And there's nothing you can do. If it invokes that type of spirit in you to personally attack someone based off their opinion, a boxing opinion that is based in just fact, something's wrong with you, family. Now, if I am lying, if I'm practicing propaganda, you have every right to call me a liar. To call me a spineless liar if I'm doing something like that, but I'm not. But watch, this is what they're saying right now. They're saying because of the technological advances, the sport has evolved. If that is the case, why is the American USA boxing team losing fewer and fewer gold medals? I'll wait. If the sport of boxing is evolving, they don't like this. See, this is when they start leaving the chat. If that is the case, why is it that the USA Olympic boxing team is losing more and more medals? We are getting our butts whooped more and more every Olympic Games. We have not had an Olympic team in the sport of boxing since the early 90s and late 80s. I don't know if it was the 86 or the 90 team, the one that Purnell was on, Biggs was on, help me out, Sensei. Who was all on that team? Roy Jones was on. Come on, y'all, family. Use your critical thinking skills. When you're using your critical thinking skills, you shouldn't just be spewing out cognitive conclusions based off of facts that just don't exist. Family, they don't exist. The teaching is absent. That's right. So Sensei says the teaching is absent. That's what people are missing. Go ahead. This is what people don't understand. Yes, sports science has evolved. So let's get into it. The scientists are saying that when they created HIIT, for those who don't know what HIIT is high intensity interval training. And the people that created it came together and said, you know what? Boxers can use this to increase their cardio and take less wear and tear on their bodies. This is what the thinking was when they first introduced it through sports science in the sport of boxing. But this is what went wrong. What we found out was HIIT was only increasing fighters' stamina and cardio and wear and tear for the first 6 rounds. What we found out after studies is after the 6th round of a fighter fighting, if they did majority HIIT during their 8 to 12 week training camp, after the 6th round, they started doing this. Especially if they're fighting someone with a higher boxing IQ. Perfect example. Go watch Caleb Plant last fight. Go watch Zab Judah versus Floyd Mayweather. See, you have to be qualified to know what you're talking about, family. You have to understand. If you are going to say something like, hey, coach, I think you're wrong. I think the sport has evolved. Therefore, this person would have beat those champions of old. You have to be able to use other things going on to back up your claim in the sport. I know y'all don't like this. I know some of you just wanna hear the catty drama in the sport of boxing, but now you all done got me to the point where I have to talk about it, family. Let me show you how we let ourselves down. The sensei said, these guys today don't even study. These guys today don't even study the previous eras. The way to tell is everyone fights with hands low and ill attempts at shoulder roll. Where the F does that come from? Family. The sensei is giving us free game. The sensei is giving us free game. There were some guys arguing on Instagram about the shoulder roll, about the cross-arm guard. These guys didn't even know who Eddie Futch was. These guys didn't even know who the old Mongoose was when I told them. They didn't know who Archie Moore was, family. So here's my problem. There's nothing wrong with you not knowing. The problem is casual boxing fans and race fans come into the sport of boxing and they talk to us like they know what the hell they're talking about, and they don't. You can't go to any other sport and sit up there and clearly not know what you're talking about. Come drink some water. Come drink some water. Come drink some water. Come on. You can't do it. Imagine going to an NBA game, going to a Bulls game in 1996 and not knowing the history of Jordan. Sip. Put your cap back on. Go back. All right, go ahead. Go back and swim. Cheers. Boxing's the only sport you can do that. You got people online right now with the GOAT argument talking about, is Katie Taylor the real GOAT or is Clarissa Shields the real GOAT? The conversation should be, is Clarissa Shields the GOAT or is Ann Wolfe the GOAT? Let's talk about it. Is Clarissa Shields the GOAT or is Ann Wolfe the GOAT with 17 knockouts, who was ducked by Layla Ali? You have to be qualified to have these conversations. People just be yapping. I had to break it down and I'm talking to men way older than me that don't even know how to tie into the boxing defense. They don't know who Willie Pep is. They don't understand where the history of the 52 blocks comes from. They don't even know. I had to explain to this old dude like this. I'm talking to him. He's not listening. I said, brother, put your hands together. He put his hands together. I said, imagine that I have shackles on your wrist, okay? Now I'm gonna swing at you and I want you to block, okay? I want you to block me from hitting you in your face. Watch, family. This is teaching. We're gonna teach for a second. Everyone can do this. When I start swinging at his face, guess what he started doing? Mm. 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 He starts blocking in the ways that these art forms were created. I don't understand why we are the only ones that don't want to get this. When you go to Brazil and you look at their fighting arts, everyone in Brazil knows where these arts come from. They know that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was a modified version of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. When you see them do capoeira, I might be pronouncing it wrong, but it was a fighting art created by slaves in Brazil who had to trick the slave master, making them think we're dancing. So all of us that used to play Tekken and used to choose to do Eddie, that would do this, that was fighting with that style, that stems from a fighting style that came out of bondage. Greco-Roman wrestling, that is a style that came out of bondage. Most of these fighting styles were created out of bondage. There are boxers, professionals right now that don't know that, family. Jack Dempsey. Do you know what Jack Dempsey used to do the day before a fight to keep his strength? He would carry a refrigerator up a flight of stairs and back down. Old school teaching methods. When James Kirkland, who was trained by Ann Wolfe, was knocking everybody out, do you all know one of the training methods she had him do? She filled a tire with cow manure and she would have Kirkland flip the tire with a shovel down the farm. These are old school teaching methods. The way my grandfather used to have me prepare, he would make me take a hammer and use an old spike, and he would have me de-rim the tires in the junkyard. For those of you that don't know what that is, you take a truck tire that still has the tire around it, you lay it down, and to peel it off, you put the spike in between the rim and the tire, and you have to take a sledgehammer all the way around until you de-rim it. Old school teaching. Then he would take me to the woods with a chainsaw, and we would cut down trees. These are old school teaching methods. So the sports scientists got together and said, we can take these old school methods, and instead of them doing this for 45 minutes, training for a few hours, we're going to condense these exercises into 30 minutes. All right? We're going to condense it into 30 minutes so the teaching does not, so that when they're training, it does not affect their body so bad. What we found out later in time is that if you take away road work, let me say it again. If you take away road work, you take away some of the mental attributes and the physical attributes that your body gets from doing this road work. But people want to tell me that the sport has evolved to the point where the fighters today would have beat the fighters of old just because technologically it's gotten better. No, that's BS. I completely disagree with that. I'm sorry. When people say, oh, I'm sorry, Coach Hudson, I disagree with you, that's fine. I'm sorry to you. I disagree with you. And these are the facts that I have to back it up. We're losing in the Olympics. Our fights are lackluster. Our heavyweight division looks like trash. Family, we're talking about a cruiserweight comes into the heavyweight division and cleans house. Does that take away from the attributes of Usyk? No. Usyk is a great fighter. But when you see Daniel Du Bois get counted out to the count of 10, then stand up and walk to the other side of the corner, does that remind you of the days of old? Does that remind you of the heavyweights from the early 90s, 80s, 70s, or late 60s? No, it does not. Daniel Du Bois waited till that ref counted to 10, stood up. He didn't wobble. He just walked over to the other side. A disgusting display. A disgusting display. Foreman would have never have done that with Ali. Ali did the rope-a-dope on Foreman, exhausted his body, dropped him, and Foreman couldn't get up. He looked up at Ali and said, my God, this man truly is the greatest. He's trapped me. He has exhausted me. So stop disrespecting the people who have laid the foundation, because when you disrespect them, we hurt our own achievements in the sport. Back up what you're saying, Coach Hudson. I don't agree with you. Back up what you're saying. All right, watch this. A few years ago, we were calling Devin Haney, Tank Davis, Sensei, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe at first it was Devin, Tank, Shakur, and before it was Ryan, Loma. And it was Loma, right? Those were the original four supposed kings that everyone was saying these are going to be our next 4 kings. Thank you, Sensei. Sensei said that's correct. Family, we are almost 7 years from that. What has happened? What has happened? Out of all of those fights, what has happened? The only one of those fights that lived up to what it was supposed to be was Loma versus Devin. I'm sorry. Ryan quit. I'm sorry. Ryan Garcia quit against Tank. Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Ryan gets popped hot. So that destroys that whole thing that it was supposed to be. Shakur never fights Tank or Devin or Ryan Garcia or Lomachenko. Family, look where we are. This is on us. This is our fault. because we sat up here crowning them kings before they did anything. Family, we have to start thinking and just holding our square. Roberto Duran, Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Marvin Hagler were not called the kings before they fought. Let me say it again. Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, and Sugar Ray Leonard were not called the four kings until they fought. That's our problem. We have allowed casual boxing fans and race fans come into the sport of boxing and be the leaders of what's going on, and they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. How disrespectful. How disrespectful are we? We sit up here and you all crown Canelo as the greatest Mexican fighter, disrespecting Ricardo Lopez, disrespecting those who have come before him before he even gets to prove that. You all called Tyson Fury, some of our own called Tyson Fury greater than Ali. Then Tyson Fury, still in his fighting age, still supposed to be this monster, goes into the ring and gets beat up by an amateur mixed martial artist in his first professional boxing debut. So what does that make y'all look like? Then there's all this controversy behind all of these fights that would have been huge. Family, let's teach, because the sensei said we got to teach. Kano Loco TV Salute said facts, and they all fought each other. When Max Schmeling, see, this is why y'all got to stop. You can't come to me talking about, well, coach, I can't agree because no. If you're going to say you don't agree with me, you got to back up what you're saying. You can't just say, I don't agree because I just think that Usyk would have beat them guys from back in the day. No, they wouldn't, y'all. No, they wouldn't. Sugar Ray Robinson would whoop all of our middleweights right now. The only one that probably would have gave him trouble right now, if they were at the same weight, is David Benavidez. Some people might not like what I say about that, but I think David Benavidez probably would have been the only one maybe to give Sugar Ray Robinson trouble right now if they were at the same weight. But you have to take into account, family, that these guys were fighting under the sun. 15 rounds. Gloves, you feeling everything. If you get hit on the shoulder, you're feeling it. You got a war going on in Germany. And whether you're white or black, listen to this. This is why Joe Louis fighting and beating Max Schmeling in the rematch was so big. Check it out. You got the Nazis trying to take over the world. Max Schmeling comes over to America, beats Joe Louis in Madison Square Garden. Stay with me. The black Americans are so upset that Jack Johnson, who is talking crap in Harlem, gets attacked by a group of brothers and sisters. There was no cheating controversy. Max Schmeling was actually given a game plan by Jack Johnson on how to beat Joe Louis. And he beat him fair and square. He beat him fair and square. So Nazi Germany says, see, look at that. Look at that. We go over there and we beat that such and such. Then behold, Joe Louis goes to Max Schmeling's background. He goes to his behind enemies' lines. He goes to his home turf and beats Max Schmeling in front of his own people. This goes down in history till this day as one of the greatest moments in the sport of boxing. But look at the foolishness that's happening because we've allowed it. Don't talk to me about how greater this fighter is when people that came from where he's from tried to fight everybody. Oscar De La Hoya as a person, I think is a piece of crap. But he went to the smoke, family. Oscar went to the smoke. He fought Bernard. He fought Tito. He fought Cesar Chavez. But look what happens when we mess up moments and we allow them to mess it up. If Chavez and Pernell Whitaker was called fairly, where would the sport be now? Think about these things that have gone wrong in the sport over and over again. If Wilder gets the count against Fury in their first fight, where would the heavyweight division be today if they don't have a rematch? And Wilder fights AJ, knocks him out. Where would the heavyweight division be right now? The heavyweight division is trash right now, y'all. Talking about these fighters, family, them fighters back in the day were under the threat of death. Muhammad Ali wasn't talking soft. He was talking to an army recruiter doing a war draft, telling him, I'm not going to go kill some yellow men when you all are hurting my people right here. And he said, I'll go to jail. I'm sorry, family. I don't think any of these fighters today have that kind of character. So we crown these guys before they even fight. That's on us. We crown Tank. We crown Loma. Loma gets his ass whooped. Twice. We crown Shakur. Name one 50-50 fight Shakur has had. Look at all the great fights we should have had and didn't have. We didn't get Keith Thurman versus Errol Spence. We didn't get Keith Thurman versus Bud. How many good fights did we miss that could have gone to Boots? How many great fights that we could have had against Virgil Ortiz? But family, this is happening on our watch. Salute to the queen, Sugar Free Mars, the queen of boxing media, my comrade. Salute. Family, we have to stop this. We have to stop this. Dead in its tracks. Because if we do not stop it, I don't like where things are headed. See, some of you all don't see Turkey's plan, but I see it. The Department over Sports and Entertainment in Dubai want to take boxing away from Las Vegas and New York. And if we don't get our shit together, it's going to happen. We crowned Tank, Devin Haney, Shakur, and Lomachenko before they became kings. What kind of sense does that make, family? If you do the same thing and expect a different result over and over again, that is insanity. We never need to do this again. So then Tank faces a little adversity. Tank faces a little adversity. And what happens? It's rumors of his retirement Whether he retires or not, the fight, Tank versus Lamont Roach, was supposed to happen next month. We can't pick and choose who we have smoke for and who we call a duck. See, the thing about me is I don't give a damn about the color of your skin if you are holding this sport hostage. We can't call out Canelo for ducking and not call out this crap that's going on right now. Tank is ducking. I'm sorry, y'all, but he is. And it's crazy because I believe that he has the ability to possibly be undisputed at 35 and 40. But he don't believe in himself as much as I believe in him. But this is what happens when you have a bunch of yes men around you and you don't chase greatness. So don't get mad at Coach Hudson when I tell you that, hey, yeah, your man is great. Usyk is great. But he is not greatest than the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali. Formerly known as Cassius Clay, the Louisville Lip. The man that told the United States government that I am not going to go kill a man that is yellow, and he is not calling me nigga. He is not a threat to my people, but my threat is already here. Then after his suspension, when everyone says, 2 fights after his suspension, when everyone says that he's stepping in with a killer, he's stepping in with a man that hit Joe Frazier so hard that he lifted his feet up off the ground. They said Ali's going to die. They said Ali's going to die. And the greatest of all time said, I'm going to show you how great I am. I know you picked your man against me. I know you all got him. Don't talk to me about your fighters today greater than the greatest Muhammad Ali. Nobody today has done what Muhammad Ali did. He stood up to the government under the threat of death. All of his friends are being assassinated and jailed at the same time. Don't talk to me about your present day fighter greater than the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali. You all forget that his close friends was Sam Cooke. His close friend was Malcolm X. His close friend was Martin Luther King. His close friend was leaders in Africa. And all of them are being jailed and assassinated. And under the threat of death in prison, he stands up and says, I am going to show you how great I am. All I want to do is serve my God Allah and stand up for my people and go to the hoods and trenches and help my people stand up. Lynn says that Usyk is definitely one of the GOATs. So Lynn, let me break that down for a second. There can only be one GOAT and one GWOAT because the acronym stands for greatest of all time. Now, I know some people don't like this, but listen to what I'm saying. Usyk's friends were not under the threat of the CIA, FBI, these letter governments, and the whole United States government. Usyk was not in prison for 3 years for not going to the draft. He was able to go around that and still get other fights. So I agree, like I said in the beginning of my live, that yes, Usyk is a great fighter. And not only that, he probably is the greatest heavyweight right now off of what he's doing at this time in this division. But has Usyk fought a heavyweight like a George Foreman? No, he has not. Has he fought a heavyweight like Joe Frazier? No, he has not. Has he fought a heavyweight like Floyd Patterson? No, he has not. Has he fought a fighter like Sonny Liston? No, he has not. So miss me with that. The greatest of all time, the irrefutable truth based off of fact and history, Is Muhammad Ali, formerly known as Cassius Clay, the Louisville Lip? Here is the problem of us crowning people the greatest of all time and crowning people kings before they have proven is because in the last 15 years, all of these people have let us down. Lynn says, no, GOATs are everybody who became bigger than the sport itself, not to say that Usyk spent his prime fighting best of heavyweights currently while his country is at war. All right, let's break it down. So, Lynn, you see what you just said? Nobody block Lynn because I want to talk about it. Lynn says that Usyk spent his prime fighting best of heavyweights currently while his country is at war. Do you know, Lynn, why Muhammad Ali was not allowed to keep fighting the best when he was supposed to be drafted into the war? The same way Usyk was allowed to keep fighting? It's because they suspended him for not doing so. Also, you cannot change history, Lynn. Lynn, bear in mind that you are not qualified to change what GOAT stands for because no athlete was calling themselves the GOAT before Muhammad Ali. Nobody was saying that I am the greatest of all time because of what I just did. So no, it is not there can be multiple GOATs based off of you being bigger than the sport. No, that is something that you can have an opinion about, but the fact is Muhammad Ali created that. And it was the irrefutable truth at the time because George Foreman was the boogeyman. George Foreman was the boogeyman. People were crying before Ali walked out because they thought Ali would be killed. They thought Ali would be killed. So we can call someone one of the greats, one of the greatest, but you cannot have multiple GOATs. You cannot have multiple GWOATs. You just can't. Lynn says that, bear in mind, all is my GOAT, but I argue there are also others who deserve to be called GOATs. And that is just where we're going to have to, we can agree to disagree. We're going to have to disagree because the history states, this ain't what Lynn set the foundation for or myself. These are things that were set before I was born. Ali was able to call himself the greatest of all time because of the giants that he slayed. He didn't just slay fighters. This man went against the United States government. Don't talk to me about nobody else. Nobody else did that. For Usyk to be as great as Ali, he would have to, right now as we speak, go befriend the enemies of the colonial powers. Then tell them I'm standing with them and be suspended. Then come back 3 years later and beat someone the caliber of a George Foreman. The caliber of a Joe Frazier. It has not happened, family. So we're just going to have to agree to disagree with that because the facts are Ali created the GOAT, and no one at the time or now could say that I'm greater than him because they know without a fact they have not done what he's done. Most fighters today, after 3 years coming back, would have been floored by Foreman, would have been destroyed by Frazier. So we have to stop doing this because this is the same thing that happened a few years ago when they started calling Fury better than Ali or equal to Ali. Because all those people had to wipe all that egg off of their face after Francis went into the ring as an MMA fighter and whooped the hell out of Fury. Fury was rewarded that fight. Fury lost in everybody's eyes to an MMA fighter, a fighter that Anthony Joshua knocked out in less than 4 rounds. You can't argue the truth. You can't, what does the minister say? The truth stands alone. Hey, what you do? You hit your head? All right, be careful, okay? The truth stands alone. Patrice X. I'm sorry, y'all. Hey, Lynn, I like it. Lynn got me riled up, and I had to go back into the history books for a second. People forget that Foreman wasn't the only scary one. Family, what other fighter was trained by Costamato and was trained in the peekaboo style? That was also a monster. His attitude just wasn't like Mike Tyson's. That Ali beat as well. I know the sensei in here. Ali's people were at war for 400 years in a way bigger war than Usyk had ever faced. Facts. Queen Sugar Free Mars said, why do people of other cultures look to constantly usurp the cultural foundations laid by black people? Go create your own and hold your people accountable to that. I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why they do it, Queen. Because we have brothers among us who allow it to happen. We have brothers like, you know what, I'm not even going to get on these brothers today. But you all know, whether they're professional fighters or content creators, they feel that if they assimilate to the propaganda, that they are going to be hired. But I want every single one of those brothers to know that you all are the lapdogs of the community. You all are the lowest of the community. And the tides are changing. And the chickens are coming home to roost. There's a lot of violence going on in America right now, and a lot of incidents going viral where you have different racial groups clashing, and you having some people saying, well, that should not be the reaction of a people when something happens. I have to tell you all this. That was my reality for a long time. This violence that you have seen in the hood, this violence that was perpetuated on my people for decades, that's been for hundreds of years, and still is happening today, is starting to spill all over the nation. And what I want people to understand is, after you disrespect, you don't get to choose how a person responds. So people are talking about the people who were jumped in Cincinnati, Ohio. Family, I know this might be a culture shock to some people, but where I grew up, you don't know who's with who. So there's a high probable chance that if you put your hands on somebody, if you smack them, you can get jumped, you can get poked, you can get bam bam, you can get unalived. That's why I don't put my hands on nobody unless I'm ready to take it there. Family, it don't matter where I'm from. I'm talking to you about a condition and an atmosphere that is starting to happen all over. How does this relate unto the crowning of people that shouldn't be crowned? You from Senegal. Family, get Kingdom up out of here. There will be no agents of chaos right now while I get this point off. Get Kingdom up out of here. It's always a detractor. It's always somebody that wants to be an agent of chaos every time truth is being told, truth is being said. Kingdom, maybe next time you can come and you can help me build. So Sugar Free Mars said a great point. Why do other cultures feel that they can do what whoever that was just tried to do? Because we have people within our own community that is on the front line doing it. So you all crowned 4 men kings before they actually fought. And Roberto Duran, Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Tommy Hearns, they would not crown those kings until they all fought each other. There's a lesson to be learned. We talking about the conditions of our people, and the violence and the chickens coming home to roost because of that violence, and you got an agent of chaos coming here that want to check me about where I'm from. I'm from a place that resembles the type of violence that I'm speaking of. And that's all you need to know. We have these people who are agents of chaos who act like they are friends 1 second, whole time they're here for a different reason. Damn turncoats and traitors. I can't even say that on YouTube. Y'all know I got my other channel banned already, so I gotta be careful on what I say. With my militant mind, I have to hold what I say. Patrice X said, that's right. That's right. That's exactly who she sound like. The Queen Sugar-Free Mars. Always coming with the smoke. And sister, I was bearing witness. Last Sunday when you were preaching, I was bearing witness in the house. I know my neighbors heard me. Go ahead. Go ahead, sister. So I know there are people that have come in the chat and out of the chat because they didn't like what I had to say, because they feel personally attacked. But I'm sorry, ain't none of y'all present fighters greater than Muhammad Ali. This is why when Roger Mayweather said that most people don't know shit about boxing, this is why we have to keep them out of conversations when they don't know what the hell they're talking about. We got people saying the argument should be, is Katie Taylor or Clarissa Shields the GOAT? So we just gonna disrespect Ann Wolf. We just gonna disrespect Ann Wolf and Layla Ali. Ann Wolf with 17 out of the 24 fights, 17 of them were knockouts. The only loss she had was early in her career. And see, all of this crap that's going on with Clarissa and Layla Ali it is us allowing people to cause division among us. And I got to say it, Layla Ali fell for it and started saying some things, feeling herself a little bit, and saying some things she shouldn't have said. There's a picture of Ann Wolf hugging Clarissa, embracing her. They don't want a woman like Ann Wolf. See, if you all go back and look at interviews of Ann Wolf and Clarissa are a lot alike. See, they really want a more prissy type of women's champion. And we're gonna have to stay prayed up and vigilant and support Clarissa, because after she played Lift Every Voice and put on an event like she did last fight, her next fight and her future, now that she is a free agent, she's going to soon be public enemy #1. It ain't going to be Devin anymore. Watch. They still going to have their eye on Devin. But Clarissa's going to be public enemy #1 in the sport of boxing as far as we are concerned. Because she's calling out everything that should be called out, and she's unapologetically for her people the way everybody should be. And our brothers in the sport are not going to support her how they should. They're scared to death to do so. So I think I made my point on who the greatest is. And I don't care when they watch this, I don't care what you say about our champ. To us, he is the greatest of all time, no matter what you say. And because of the time of what he achieved, you can't mirror that. You can't mirror it. Salute, Will Sinclair. Appreciate it, family. You cannot mirror what the greatest of all time was doing, Muhammad Ali. You got your whole family under the threat of death. You got brothers hating on you, that are making it hard, that he spoke on. Your best friends are being assassinated. Man, family, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me about this mental health of Tank Davis, this mental health of Ryan Garcia. Man, they wasn't under the same. Man, look, y'all give me the cussing on here. Y'all give me the cussing on here. Don't talk to me about what these fighters today are going through. Malcolm X is assassinated. MLK is assassinated. All of these brothers are being assassinated in the South. They taking out our they taking our people down. There's an attack on the Black Panther Party. All of our movements are infiltrated. And Ali could have easily went the Floyd Patterson route, the George Foreman route. See, y'all forget, Foreman got out of boxing for religious reasons, but he got out. Ali kept going until he was too sick to keep going. And y'all trying to talk to me? You trying to tell me that these fighters today got a tougher time than them? Y'all are sick in the head, family. Hey, Kano Loco TV said, Fax Patrice and Riddick Bowe would have knocked Usyk out. Would have put him to sleep. So I'm not letting y'all start this crap. It is disrespectful to the whole sport of boxing when you all say this and do this. And we keep allowing casual fans to do it. I wasn't calling Canelo the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. And I'm not even Mexican. I felt that it would be disrespectful to the Mexican warriors that came before him because they was chasing all the smoke. As soon as they made a franchise championship title and they lifted up the amount of combuterol that can be in a fighter's piss sample, I started looking at everybody funny. I started looking at them all funny. I started looking at the WBC funny, who just gave another fighter a slap on the wrist for popping hot. See, if you're going to go with this propaganda, you got to make sure you're talking to the right person that won't check you in what you're saying. There is a brotherhood, there is a sisterhood that should be in the sport of boxing that is the same brotherhood and sisterhood in football, in basketball, in baseball. It's some things you just can't say without being checked for it. As soon as people started saying, hey, you know that LeBron's greater than Jordan, there was a civil war in the NBA fan base. And it wasn't about black and white. You got white guys who came up in the 90s, who was there. Man, look, they arguing with young brothers trying to tell them, no, young man, you don't understand. You don't understand what was going on in 95 and 96. You don't understand what it felt like at an all-star game back then. You don't understand the electricity that will run through your body if you was at a Celtics game, Pistons game, the Bulls game. You don't know what it was like. Y'all playing safe NBA basketball right now. They was throwing elbows in your neck back then. And I'm not choosing a side, but I could see the difference between people that love their sport having a debate and the crap that we got going on. What we got going on is some strange fruit. What we got going on is some strange fruit. We having arguments about butts and seats, and then y'all don't say nothing when Clarissa Shields and this card sells out. You have nothing to say. I call hypocrisy. We look like a bunch of dumb asses to everybody else. To every other sport, we look like idiots. When someone gets popped hot for PEDs in another sport, they not arguing about if the PED, the performance enhancing drug, helps or not. Let that sizzle for a second in your mind, y'all. Think about what I just said. You ready to go? No? Okay, go ahead. Think about what I just said. When an athlete, whether they in the Olympics, whether they in basketball, football, baseball, if they get caught with a performance enhance, let me point it out for you. Performance enhancement drug, they're not having a dispute on what substance does what. It's a performance enhancing drug that should not naturally be in your body. Point blank, plain and simple. But family, this has become so disgusting. This has become so disgusting that we have allowed these parasites to enter the sport of boxing. And now to the world, we look like idiots. You got UK fans coming on some of our platforms saying, man, you guys are disgusting. You all are literally defending PEDs. So now, because they are louder and the mainstream is even louder, they're starting to try to get quiet about it, because they know that eventually an investigation is coming and they don't want to have anything to deal with it. Family, do you all not see what's going on and what's happening to our sport? ESPN is done with them. ESPN is putting way more money into the UFC and MMA because of the crap that has happened on our watch. On our watch. So when our little kids get older and they say, man, why is this Sean Zattel dude talking like that about our champions? Tim Bradley. Brother, you don't have to keep doing what you're doing. Because when the ship goes down, they're only going to have life jackets and lifeboats for their own. Is anyone trying to save Tim Bradley's commentary career right now? Anybody in the chat, tell me. Is anyone trying to, out of all the shucking and jiving he's done, is anybody racing to save Tim Bradley's commentary career? No, they're not. Everybody else gonna be fine at Top Rank. But all of you brothers who's been running behind the Sambo train, they gonna leave y'all out to dry. Hey, sorry, you're gonna have to get on your own ship. You're gonna have to go get on the Negro ship. And I'm gonna be looking at you just like this, paddling away. Brother, we ain't got nothing for you. I'm sorry. You're gonna look over there at the Latino ship. And they gonna be, hey, sorry, friend. Hey, no room. No room. And all you're gonna be trying to do is come back to us. Hey, black man, hey, brother, man. No, you can't brother man me. It was those same brother mans while a lot of our leaders are gone. Family, I don't think y'all understand. Think about this for a second. When you see great leaders from Mexico all sitting at a Canelo fight, Can you imagine how great that feels to those fighters to see some of their activists sitting front row supporting them? Think about how it feels as a white man or woman to go to a fight and you see some of your greatest leaders. You see some of your billionaires, and you see Trump sitting in the audience. Imagine how that feels. Family, most of us will never know what that feels like. Because most of our great minds from old, who would have been old men now, are gone, y'all. And they're gone because of spineless Negroes. And what is worse than the enemy that you see? What's worse than the enemy that you see is the one you think is your brother or sister. Trill, Will, LDBC or nothing. Salute, fam. Welcome in. So there was an evil man in history that once said, we don't have to tell the truth. All we have to do is take propaganda and repeat it over and over and over again, because the brain doesn't recognize the truth. Always. The brain recognizes repetition. Coach Hudson, back up what you're saying. If you take a child and you tell a child early enough that 2 + 2 is 5, over and over again, have them write it down, put it on flashcards. By the time that child is grown, that child will tell you and argue you up and down that 2 + 2 is 5. Let's go to church. Listen, you and I know that 2 + 2 is 4. But if you keep a lie going and you repeat it over and over and over again, what do you get? You get a well-dressed lie. And because I was somebody that child trusted, they believe it. Hold that and let that sizzle in your spirit. Patrice X said, Haney sadly had an arena of his own rooting against him against Garcia. Imagine the psychological betrayal Haney felt. Family, these are the damages of not being on code. So if you trust me, let's go back to it. If the child trusts me, that child will not only feel attacked when I tell them the truth, well, when someone else tells them the truth later that 2 + 2 is 4, they're going to feel that not only are you attacking me, you're attacking the man that taught me. Now, how does this relate to boxing? Watch this. Family, guess what? Everybody in mainstream America is not racist, but watch this. Most of them are casuals. So if the casual sees on mainstream and social media over and over and over again that the black elite fighter is a runner, the black elite fighter is a yellow belly, is a coward, spineless man that never really wants to trade, that never really wants to fight, and they repeat it over and over again, a lot of people are going to start thinking it's true. Not only are they going to think it's true, they are going to feel personally attacked when we tell them that it's not true, and feel that the person they learned it from is like family and we're attacking them as well. Now, the black men in the black American boxing fan base who knows what they're doing and knows that they are trying to get a dollar, they are actually selling out their soul, and they are the worst kind of hypocrite. They are the worst kind of hypocrite. Think about this, family. I don't know about y'all, but I used to listen to, in class, in history class, young Coach Hudson sitting in history class, and I'm listening to the history teacher, And what keeps popping up in my head is, how do all of these enemies of ours keep getting the up and up on our people when they're fighting? Gullah Geechee Wars, the Civil War. How is this happening? Now, you going underwater? Come to find out, people that look like us were hypocrites, were traitors. And that same spirit that was in them then is in some of our people now. So you got people that's going to be upset. I don't know what's going to happen with the brother Tank Davis. I don't know what's going to happen. But do you know why some people are so upset? Don't my lies always tie back into what I start with? The reason they're upset is because they crowned him before it was time to be crowned. Let me say it again. They crowned him before it was time to be crowned. So I hope that we learn from the mistakes of the past, but I already can see it's people still not learning. I can see that those who were just talking about Brian Norman Sr. yesterday as the next Bill Haney are now the biggest Brian Norman Jr. fans today. Family, we are dealing with the very spirit of hypocrisy and condescending nature. We are dealing with the very spirit of a condescending spirit and a hypocrite. And these are men that swear that they try to be righteous, God-fearing men. Now, those of you that don't believe in God, those of you that don't believe in the book, this isn't for you. But those of you who swear up and down that you are trying to be righteous, that you care so much about the sport, and you want clean drug testing, and you know exactly what you're doing, there's going to be a price to pay for what you're doing. Because if you are a so-called righteous man, the book speaks about bearing false witness. It's actually one of the commandments to not bear false witness. You are bearing false witness and being a hypocrite and knowing that you're doing it. You don't care nothing about the truth of a sport being drug-free and safe, because you same channels are the same ones completely silent about the WBC giving slap on the wrist to certain fighters from a certain camp and everyone else getting 3-year suspensions, 2-year suspensions, like Amir Khan. Don't talk to me about you are a righteous man. You are a devil. You have the mind of a devil. You are spineless. You are a hypocrite. You are a false witness, and you bear false witness. You are the worst kind of brother to have among us. You are the kind of brothers where our women and children will be attacked and you would run. This is the spirit that dwells inside of you. This is why I cannot have a cordial conversation with men like you. Because if you were in my presence, I know that what's inside of you would invoke the very militant, God-fearing nature that is inside of me, because I know that you are a threat to black people itself. To sum it all up, if you don't believe in that, they are bitch-ass niggas. So family, before my cortisol levels go up, before I raise this blood pressure some more, I'm gonna reel it on back in, because I get passionate about my shit. And I love our people, and I love our fan base in the sport, but I gotta call it for what it is. Next live, because this one, I talked about the greatest of all time. Next live, I'm going to talk about the disrespect of the GOAT, Clarissa Shields. And to Lynn, there's no hard feelings to you. I hope that you don't feel attacked by what I said. We just have some differences of opinion. And I believe that my opinion stands on facts and that Usyk is a great champion, but ain't none of them today can hold a candle to those fighters of old in the heavyweight division. And I believe that Muhammad Ali still is the greatest of all time. Peace to the family. Salute to my comrades, family. And you always know it is smoke to you COINTELPRO boxing fans. Peace.